It's going to be unfortunate for them.
ما تعرض به کسی نکردیم.
Your clear vision and far-sighted approach.
Thank you for gathering us today. We will achieve
peace and coexistence among its President Trump's firm
and the world
Ready to provide humanitarian assistance.
Coming up on the show, Donald Trump has issued a stark warning to Iran. Agree to a new nuclear deal or face possible military action. Now the threat comes just as the president wraps his first Board of Peace meeting in Washington, D.C. Plus, we've got the latest on the arrest of Prince Andrew and what it could mean for the royal family in UK. I'm Leticia Castro and you're watching the South Arrow Report. Thank you for joining us. U.S. President Donald Trump is turning up the pressure on Iran, warning there could be, quote, bad things if a nuclear deal isn't reached within the next 10 to 15 days. But Iran is pushing back. Tehran's envoy to the United Nations says any U.S. military action would be met with a decisive response. And on the ground, Iran is showing its strength, holding joint military drills with Russia this week. So, is this just tough talk, or are we looking at a real risk of escalation? Joining us now to break it down is Negar Mortasavi, journalist and host of the Iran podcast. Joining us all the way from Washington, D.C. Negar, thank you for being here with us. How serious should we take this latest warning? Is it negotiation tactics or a real deadline with consequences? Thank you. Negar, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I'll ask you again. Do you think that this is just negotiation talk or if this is actually a possibility? What's your opinion? What's your stance on this?
I just heard your question. Yes. I think the negotiations are serious. I think both sides are coming to the negotiations with seriousness. With a preference for diplomacy, I think both Tehran and Washington to share a diplomatic resolution deal over the military option. And the irony is that at the same time, the military threats are actually getting more serious. The U.S. has essentially circled Iran with this Hamad President Trump has assembled, and he continues to use the military threat while the negotiations are ongoing. I believe that's partially a negotiation tactic for him, his peace through strength, that he's going to show through power and this military threat, essentially to force Iran or compel Iran to accept offer on the table. The Iranian side also has extreme strikes with the U.S., and they have communicated that if they get attacked, they will respond forcefully.
Now, if this 10 to 15 day window passes without a deal, what are the most likely next steps from Washington? Is the U.S. still increasing its military presence in the region while diplomacy continues? Tell us, when Iran feels military pressure, does it compromise or dig in?
I think sort of a combination. The Iranians have shown what they called maximum resistance to their policy in the face of maximum pressure. So when the U.S. increased pressure, they essentially adopted what they called maximum resistance to show that President pressure is not going to bring surrender or full surrender. After the June war, I think when the U.S. attacked Iran, and Iran did respond in a calibrated way. I think there's an understanding in Tehran that there may be a diplomatic opening, and if that is a possibility, of course, that's for an open war. But I think they also want to project strength and not show that because they were attacked, they're at the table, and diplomacy is their choice only because war has been tested in June. And I think they've been consistent. I mean, from the beginning, they have said that the diplomatic door is open. It's just they want to negotiate and do diplomacy on their own terms. And President Trump wants to do it on his own terms. That's where the gap exists, not the intent or the interest in diplomacy.
Right, absolutely. Now, so to ask you, what's the biggest sticking point? Is there, for the people that are watching this unfold, basically, how could this impact global energy prices or the regional stability, for that instance, in the Middle East and the entire region?
Well, if diplomacy succeeds, if they actually get a deal, it's going to have, I think, positive reverberations across the region. As we see, the region, Iran's neighbors are all worried because a war between Iran and the U.S. can turn out to be catastrophic. We've seen what happened in Iraq. We've seen what happened in Afghanistan. We've seen Syria. We've seen Libya. And so I think there's good reason that the neighbors are worried. The Saudis are worried, the Qataris, the Omanis. Even Egypt, a country that's in a different continent, on the very edge of the Middle East, has stepped up and tried to help and mediate. Turkey is worried. So I think the neighbors really understand better than anyone outside of that region how adding yet another war to the region is going to not be bound to Iran's borders and can spill over and essentially impact other communities and countries and nations in the region. And the Iranians have said as part of their threat that they're not going to keep this war inside their borders and they're going to turn it into a regional war. Essentially, others would have to pay. They've threatened their Arab neighbors across the Persian Gulf that if you're hosting U.S. bases and the U.S. launches an attack on us, we see those bases as fair targets, for example. And they've also threatened that they're going to retaliate against the U.S. and potentially even Israel, who they see as party to this war. So I think the military conflict, if it starts, is going to be definitely not bound to Iran and the U.S., and it's going to have impacts on others in the region.
Nagar, thank you so much for helping us understand what's really at stake here and, of course, giving us your take on the situation. That's Nagar Mortasavi, journalist and host of the Iran podcast. Earlier, my colleague Sahil Mangani spoke to geopolitics analyst James Dorsey about what is happening, a little bit more in depth on this same subject. Sahil.
Tensions are clearly rising between Washington and Tehran even after peace talks between the US and Iran were resumed. For more on where this is heading, we are being joined by geopolitical analyst James Dorsey. Hello to you, Mr. Dorsey. My first question to you, US President Donald Trump has set a 10 to 15-day window for a potential nuclear deal. How seriously is this deadline being taken in Tehran? And is there any indication Iran is willing to return to negotiations under these terms?
I think that Iran is taking this very serious. It has no reason not to, and would obviously be missive if it failed to take it serious. If you go back to the war last June, Trump set a deadline and attacked Iran prior to that deadline. The chances that Iran is going to bow to Trump's demands on his terms is highly unlikely. Iran cannot cannot afford to be seen to be surrendering under U.S. pressure. The problem with a lot of this is that the rhetoric that's being deployed by Trump, but also by the Iranians, makes compromise much more difficult, and it makes it also much more difficult to find face-saving solutions.
So would it be right to say, and I want to take your comment on this because it's important, Iran's UN envoy has warned of a decisive response to any US military aggression. What might that response realistically look like, both militarily and diplomatically?
Iran has made that clear. I think you have to keep in mind that there are no U.S. or, for that matter, Israeli targets within the borders of Iran. So any Iranian retaliatory strike would have to be across borders. The Iranians have been very clear that they would target U.S. facilities, military and otherwise, in the Gulf states and potentially in Turkey or Azerbaijan. So that's what the military response is going to be. How harsh a response that's going to be is going to depend, on the one hand, what capabilities Iran has once the Americans have launched an attack on Iran, and what kind of an attack the Americans may launch, whether that's a one-time strike at one facility, a one-time strike at several targets in Iran, or a military operation that could last for days or longer. The response is going to be primarily militarily, and that is going to be the response that's going to count. Diplomatically, sure, they'll go to the United Nations Security Council. They'll try and garner support from the Gulf states. The Gulf states are opposed to a U.S. attack on Iran, but the diplomatic efforts are probably not going to produce much in terms of what Iran would like.
So, Mr. Dorsey, what you're suggesting is that Iran's response is going to be proportional to U.S. attack, a potential U.S. attack. And since you spoke about the military aspect of it, with Iran now holding joint military drills with Russia, how significant is this show of cooperation? Is it largely symbolic, or does it signal a deeper strategic alignment aimed at deterring Washington?
I wouldn't attribute great significance to the drills. First of all, these are exercises that take place every year. Obviously, they're taking place now in a much more charged environment, and therefore people are looking at this much closer. But Russia's got its handful in Ukraine. Russia is not going to go expose its forces to defend Iran. Iran, for all practical purposes, will have to rely on its non-state allies more than anybody else, and particularly the Houthi rebels in Yemen.
So clearly, it's a fast-developing story, multiple layers to it. Thank you so much, Mr. Dorsey, for helping us make sense of it and to also gain more perspective as to which side stands where and what could be the response. Thank you so much, Mr. Dorsey.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Multiple layers indeed. That was my colleague Sahil Mengani. Thank you. Speaking to geopolitics analyst James Dorsey. From rising tensions with Iran to a separate diplomatic effort out of Washington, D.C., Trump has now wrapped up his inaugural Board of Peace Summit. He announced a $10 billion commitment toward Gaza's reconstruction with delegates from around the world in attendance, including Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. Sarah Gill has more.
US President Donald Trump's first Board of Peace meeting with world leaders took place on Thursday, as he attempted to advance his plans for stabilizing Gaza, pledging $10 billion to the effort. He also told those in attendance that the war is over, despite Israel's repeated violations of the ceasefire.
The war in Gaza is over. It's over. There are little flames. Hamas has been, I think they're going to give up their weapons, which is what they promised. If they don't, it'll be, they'll be harshly met, very harshly met. They don't want that.
Inside, while the rhetoric of peace was on full display, outside, the scene was very different. Several people demonstrating against the summit were shoved and detained by law enforcement officers. And it's been reported that one protester was arrested for shouting "Free Palestine." We are all Palestinians! We are all Palestinians! The board says they plan to build 100,000 homes in Rafah in Gaza's south, with $5 billion dedicated to infrastructure. But the task at hand is immense. Entire neighborhoods have been wiped out. Every basic service has been reduced to rubble. That's schools, hospitals, nurseries and bakeries.
مطر وريح وبرد في الخيم ومقعدين ايش يسوون؟ ايش يسوي الشباب الحين؟ انا زينا احنا في السن كبر. طب الشباب الصغير ظل في خيام زي هيك بدهم يتجوزوا وبدهم يعيشوا، واطفال في البرد قاعدين. بدنا اعمار وبدنا بنيان وبدنا كل حاجه.
Millions of Palestinians have been displaced, some more than 10 times. And for Mustafa, he says he's not sure he will see the reconstruction in his lifetime.
انا عمري 49 سنه، اطفالي مش عارف هل الحق الاعمار هذا ولا اطفالي اللي هيلحقوا او اطفال اخويا اللي راح يلحقوا. فهذا مش عارفين كيف الوضع هيكون، يعني هيكون حزن اكثر من احنا متصورين.
For Palestinians who have survived Israel's brutal war, reconstruction may be imminent, but the mental and emotional scars may never heal. Sarah Gill, South Era Network.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, to understand more about this summit and what it means for Palestinians who live or lived in Gaza, let's bring in Hamad Ibrahim, who left the Strip about 6 months ago. He joins us from Limerick in Ireland. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Hamad. I know you left your home about 6 months ago. Can you tell me what it's like to live there during Israel's genocide on Gaza?
Oh, thank you. Honestly, it was really hard living in a dark place where like there are sleepless nights without knowing you woke up or not. So I mean, living there is a constant nightmare. So you wake up every day not knowing if you will sleep safely at night. The sound of bombings becomes normal, which is something no human should get used to this. And there was fear, yes, but also there's, strength. Families stayed closed. People shared food, even if there is, nothing there. Even in the middle of the ocean, people were trying to live, not just survive. And I'm just talking with my experience because living there, like you will die every day, is really, really horrible. And I can't get this out because when I want to go to sleep, I think about this and I got nightmare. So, it's a constant fear and horrible things living there in Gaza.
I can only imagine. Thank you for sharing that. I also want to ask you, how is the formation of the Board of Peace being perceived by people in Gaza right now? What are you hearing?
People are tired. They are heard many announcements before, so now they don't react with excitement. If it brings real change, real safety, real rebuilding, then people will believe in it. But words alone are not enough anymore.
Of course, I know that many international efforts in the past have gone just with that, promises, empty words, and they also have been delayed by political roadblocks. What needs to be done differently in this case, do you think, to make sure aid actually reaches the people?
People really need right now is safety, or a place they can share a warm, a warm love together. Because living there, it is the darkness and people they can't see light. So the only things that people need is safety and a place where they can eat safe and get and drink good water. Because living in a tent, no one can imagine to live like living in a cold, and you will die every day like living in a tent. Because I experience like living in a tent is so hard and no one can live there. And the only thing the people really right now need is safety.
Right, absolutely. Constantly being exposed, like you said, to the elements and being exposed to the sounds, to what's happening, living through it all. What did that do to you mentally as a person? And now being far away from it and knowing that you still have people that you love and care about back in Gaza, What are you feeling?
It's really hard because I mean, I right now I really have challenging the the first challenge how I just the life, and that's the other challenging worry about my family because in any moment I can lose them. And when I want to go to sleep, I can't because I have overthinking of my family back there and how they eat, how they keep warm because I don't have ability to do something just or I mean sing them love. So I mean I am the only one. I mean my family depends on me, and once
Yeah.
I get out of Gaza, my family lost everything to be sure. So I mean it's really like in my mental is really hard. So I have overthinking and I have a nightmare and it's really a bit challenging, and I really fear of losing my family one day because they are living in an unsafe place and I mean uncertain place, and I mean no one can find safety there, and even my family in a tent with cold is really hard. Like I mean they die every day, and this is my biggest worry, like how I can keep them warm, but I can't do anything. Just I mean just seeing my family in cold is very hard.
I understand. Very difficult situation to go through and to share. So we thank you for that. And I hope that your family can find that help that they so much need. Now watching from Ireland, how are people in Gaza reacting to the summit, to these news that we're hearing, and of course to this promise of support? Is there hope or skepticism?
Um, to be honest, I mean the people in Gaza is really tired of hearing a peace news or I mean a promising peace. So and even when I mean when the leadership around the world say there's a peace, there are good things happening to Gaza, and in the same time the border closed, there is no there is no a food truck gets into Gaza. So there is a limit of food really hard. So I mean it's a really like no one can believe this. Like someone promise the people for safety or better future for Gaza, and in the ground you will see like still bombing, still the Israeli sniper, the Palestinian, and they are limited of food trucks coming into Gaza. So as I just said, the word just word
Right.
until they make action. So I mean, my family killed or my loved ones killed in Gaza, and they say so. There's a peace coming to Gaza. So just saying, no action.
I understand. Hopefully we can see those actions being taken here in the near future. Thank you so much, Hamza, for taking the time to share your story with us. As someone with real personal ties to Gaza, your voice and experience bring important human context to a story that is too often just about politics and numbers. Thank you. With that, we turn to the United Kingdom now, where Andrew Mountbatten has walked free from a UK police station. But the questions surrounding him are far from over. The former royal spent 11 hours in custody on his 66th birthday. He was arrested on suspicion of passing sensitive government documents to a convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein. He has not been charged as of now, but of course the investigation is ongoing. Muna Khan has more.
Former Prince Andrew walked free from a Norfolk police station on Thursday evening, driven away in a Range Rover after spending 11 hours in custody. He had been arrested that morning, on his 66th birthday, on suspicion of misconduct in public office. He has not been charged but remains under investigation. The arrest follows the release of U.S. Department of Justice files, which appear to show the former prince forwarding sensitive government documents to Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted sex offender whose network of abuse implicated some of the world's most powerful men. One email showed Andrew sent Epstein the information 5 minutes after receiving it. Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing. But the story is drawing significant attention across South Asia, where fascination with the British royals is seen by many as a colonial hangover. Decades after independence, the crown still commands an audience in Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh in a way that few other foreign institutions do. Andrew served as Britain's trade envoy for a decade, visiting the subcontinent repeatedly. For the royal family, the arrest presents an unprecedented crisis. King Charles expressed his deepest concern and stressed that the law must take its course. Andrew is the first senior British royal to be arrested in nearly 400 years. Among the newly released documents was a draft email appearing to show Ghislaine Maxwell confirming the authenticity of a photograph showing her, Andrew, and Virginia Giuffre together, undermining years of denials from both. For many analysts, the misconduct charge is only the beginning, a way of sidestepping the more serious allegations that Andrew was directly involved in the abuse and trafficking of young women through Epstein's network. The misconduct charge, some argue, is a tip of the iceberg. With more Epstein files expected, the coming weeks could force those deeper questions into the spotlight. Questions that a misconduct charge alone may not be enough to bury.
We'll see what happens next. Thank you so much, Muna. And now, here's a quick look at some of the other stories making headlines around the world today. Aina Wazir from North Waziristan is going viral for her incredible street cricket skills. Look at that. And of course, the internet is loving it. Her talent has already earned her a spot on a women's cricket team. Now, her story is sparking fresh calls for better sports facilities and, of course, more opportunities for girls and women in the region. American tech giant Apple could begin refurbishing and later manufacturing iPhones in Pakistan. That's under a proposed government incentives framework, but no final commitment has been announced as of now. And for the first Friday prayers of Ramadan, Israel has allowed just 10,000 Palestinians to enter the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in occupied East Jerusalem. It's far fewer than the hundreds of thousands who traditionally gathered for prayers. And a United Nations fact-finding mission says Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces have carried out attacks in El Fasher that show signs of genocide, including mass killings, rape, and the deliberate starvation of civilians. And to Bangladesh now, where hundreds of graffiti murals decorate the walls of Dhaka University. The images depict the students-led uprising that have helped remove former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina from power. The paintings also honor the people that were killed during the revolution. In this report, South Area Network speaks to a student leading these efforts to keep those memories alive.
These messages from our uprising is not only for us, it's for the whole world, where the people are victims, where the people are suppressed. It's from east to west, north to south. I am Muhammad Shahin. I'm doing Bachelor on International Relations from University of Dhaka. And I'm also an elected member of Dhaka University Central Students Union. During Hasina regime, we were very much suppressed. The freedom of expression was totally tends to zero. We did not enjoy any rights of expression and many things. The political opposition were enforcedly disappeared, were murdered by administration itself. So those things were very horrible for us. When I'm starting here from 2022, but I never exposed myself as a Shibir worker or as an activist or as a critic of government. So the July and August of 2024, the uprising, very much hope. After July, we felt that the documentation, the memories of the revolution during the uprising, around 2,000 people were killed. Their memories, around 50,000 people were injured. Their memories should be documented, should be painted in walls. Our education system was collapsed. Our judiciary was collapsed. Our constitution was very much manipulated by other states or Indian hegemony. So these memories this spirit to remain uprising or to document these memories, we started to do graffitis. One of our martyr was Mugdho. He was contributing water to the people of the demonstrator. He said, "Pani lagbe karo pani. Do you need water? Take this." And he was shooted by snipers. So this is Pani lagbe karo pani, the Shohid Bir Mugdho. And during whole Hasina regime, the education, the freedom was suppressed. So like, look at this graffiti. This is Shikha Medha Shadhinota. Education, Medha means intelligence, or Shadhinota means freedom. And other massive scales of teacher politics was very much in university campuses. Like teachers was Shada Dol, means white party, backed by BNP, and Nil Dol means blue party, backed by Awami League. So the binary opposition was corrupting, was suppressing our whole educational environment and whole university campuses. This kind of such things of operations or lack of freedoms made us more conscious, more sincere about our basic human rights. History of this subcontinent is not from like 2024 or 1971. It's from 1757 when the British colonial period was started. Then the whole Azadi movement all over the subcontinent continued, and we see 1857, and we see the 1947 of the division of India and Pakistan. The thousands of people were disappeared from their homeland, was killed and was injured. And the extension was 1971. And the 1971 gave us a liberation, our land, its very own. Then 1971, we fought in 1990 against the aristocratic government. And after that, 2024, we fought against a fascist regime. We think 1990 or 2024 and all the Azadi movement is an extension of 1971. Freedom of expression, freedom of basic human rights. So the parameter of GDP, GNP is important, but less than freedom. So I think this generation has led a revolution. We call it Gen Z revolution. You know that the youngest guy of the parliament is just 25 years old, Hannan Masood. So this is very important. So the young people or the young guys are become leaders, are taking the leading position of this country. So I think the future of Bangladesh is very shine and very hopeful for us. As long as the young people are taking the responsibilities of this country, I don't want to look at the back. I know the BNP has secured the popular majority in the parliament, but the young people will check them. The young people, the young bloods are not for being silent. So I think we're fighting, we're working to achieve a great freedom.
Graffiti is so often portrayed or used to portray negative things, so it's definitely good to see it being used and documenting a historic moment in Bangladesh. So thank you for that. And finally, a Japanese baby monkey has been stealing the hearts and making headlines. I'm sure you've seen it on social media, and here at South Era Network, we wanted to share it with you as well. It's a monkey named Punch. He was unfortunately abandoned by his mother shortly after he was born. He initially sought comfort in this stuffed orangutan. You see it there, his little stuffy. But now he is learning to belong, to process, finding companionship and connection among fellow macaques, and of course, not letting go of that stuffy. And it's stories like this of resilience, second chances, and finding connection that remind us why we share these moments from around the world. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. I'm Leticia Castro, and this has been the South Era Report. We'll see you next time.